First thing we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to take off this O-ring right here. Very important. You don't want to throw it away. You don't want to damage it. You just want to lift it up with your hook like that, and you just take it off just like that. And we're going to put that to the side because we are going to reuse this. All right, without taking that O-ring out of there, you will not be able to get that rotor off, and you'll see how tight this rotor is anyway. All right, next thing we're going to do is, remember we talked about those little caps in the back? We're just going to push those caps off, both of them. And we'll take these and put them to the side as well. We're going to take our pry bar, put it in the back of the rotor, I mean the back of the brake pad. Just keep slight pressure on it, just to push that piston back into the bore as far as it can go. Okay, now we have that piston pushed in all the way. We're going to take off this clip right here. And the way you do that is just push in on the clip like that, and you pull it right out. Be careful, you don't want to lose it. We're going to put this to the side as well. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take out those bolts in the back there. Oh, I want to show this to you. Now, if you can't see what size bolt is in the back right there, you just put a mirror in the back like this, and you can see in the mirror how big that bolt is, or I should say that the caliper hold down pin, what size bolt is in the back of it. Now we know this is a 7mm because I did the other side already. So we're going to put this in here like this, make sure it's in all the way, and we can just take it out. And we can unscrew it almost all the way, but not quite. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to break that other bolt loose on the caliper as well. Now, if you can't get in there, this is a little bit long. Now you could take a regular normal Allen key to get in there, but if you did not have an Allen key to get in there, what you could do is you would take this, put on a wrench like that, and then we can take out that bolt underneath the bottom that holds the caliper to the mounting bracket. All right, I just want to point this out to you as well. When you're underneath there and you're pushing on a wrench, never push with a closed hand. If you're pushing on a wrench with a closed hand and your hand slips and hits something, you're going to wind up ripping your knuckles up. So whenever you push on a wrench, you always want to push with an open hand, because the worst possible case is that your hand is going to hit something like this and it's okay. But if your hand is like this and your knuckles hit it, you're going to wind up ripping up your knuckles a little bit. All right? So now we're going to take out that bolt in the back over here. Now the reason you saw me switch that over is because this is a ratcheting wrench, so it goes a little bit quicker. Okay, so now we'll just take out that bolt. And like I said, you don't have to take it all the way out. We're just going to take it out partially until it clears the mounting bracket, and then we'll remove the upper one. Brake pads comes out. The inner brake pad also comes out. And we're just going to take this now, we're just going to put this up here for now. We're going to come back to this in a minute. Now, if you can't hang this someplace, you can use a hook such as this. Hook it up like this and put it over here like this, and you can just keep it out of the way like that as well. Now in the back over here, remember I showed you those two 18mm bolts in there? This one and this one. We're going to take both of those 18mm bolts out, and we're going to take this mounting bracket off the truck. All right, now you're going to break this loose. You're going to break both upper and lower bolts loose before you take either one out. And the reason you do that is because if you break one bolt loose, then this caliper bracket is going to rotate as well. All right? We are going to hang this up here though, out of our way, just like this, because it's a little easier. All right, now we're going to take those bolts out. We broke them both loose, and we'll take them out. All right, we'll put this bracket off to the side. If you have a significant amount of rust on here, at this time it'd be good to clean that up. This one is really not too bad, so we're just going to lubricate this a little bit before we put it back in. Don't lose these bolts, we're going to need them. All right, now, as you can see, that rotor is stuck on there. Now you have a couple of choices. You can use a rotor puller to get it off. You can use a pry bar, or you can use my favorite tool, a hammer. And you hit it there a couple times and it should pop right off. So let's see, you know what? Yeah, watch that camera. Okay. And now if you didn't take that O-ring off on there, you definitely would not be able to get it off of the truck itself. All right, so I'm going to just take this off like this. All right, now if this was really rusted inside here, you would need to clean this off, but this is actually fairly clean, so we don't have to worry about that. We take our new rotor, and remember we cleaned the rotor off to make sure that there was no oil on there. We're going to push the rotor on as far as we can, and then we're going to take our O-ring that we took off before, and we're going to put it back on just where we took it off. And you can use any kind of tool that you have to put the O-ring back in. A small screwdriver is usually pretty decent, so we just got the O-ring on there. We're going to push it back in until it goes into its groove where it fits, and then we can push it down. As you can see, it holds pretty tight, just like that. All right. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of synthetic brake grease every place that the brake pads are going to touch, just like that. And now we're going to put this bracket back on to the car. Now the way you do that is you just hold it up inside here the way you took it off, and we're going to catch both bolts in the back. Before we tighten anything up, we're going to make sure we catch them both. You can screw them in by hand as far as you can. And then once you have them screwed in, you can just come back in with your 18mm socket and tighten them up. Now, there is torque specs on these. Do I know them? No. Do I torque them? Well, no, I don't always torque them. So if you just put them in there, snug them, and go a little tighter, you'll be okay. I just want to explain to you this. These, you see this clip right here? You see how the clip is in the same location? This is the correct brake pad. But if you put the pad from the other side on here, this clip would be down on the bottom right here. So always make sure that you have the brake indicator in the same location that you previously took it off from. All right, so this one is the correct one. This one goes in here, just like this. okay? And now this brake pad here, this clip needs to go into the piston itself. So I just put a little bit of synthetic grease or any lubricant on here like this, so it slides in easier. I do put a little bit of synthetic greases here as well. Anything that touches into the caliper, I always put a little bit of grease on there as well. Now we pushed the piston back in before, so we know that the piston is recessed in as far as it can go. And then you put your brake pad in here like this, and you just push it, and it snaps right in. Now, I'm going to show you this as well. These pins come out. We're going to clean these off, and we're going to lubricate them and put them back in. Now these are both the same size. You can see they're both the same size, but some of them, they are different sizes. So make sure that you know where you took the pins out of. Right, so we just put a little bit of synthetic grease on each one of them. You don't need a whole lot of it, just a little bit, because we're going to put them in there and we're going to rotate them. I'm going to push it back through here and we'll turn it. Same thing here. Back through here and turn it. Now you saw me put my finger on the back of it over here. You do not want this pin, can you see that? Let's do it on this one here. You do not want that pin right there sticking out like that. The reason you don't want it sticking out is going to interfere with the mounting bracket when you try to install it. So we're going to push them both back in so that they're recessed back as far as they can go, just like that. And then we're going to take some of that, oh, I almost forgot. We're going to take this, we're going to put a little bit of synthetic grease in here where it's going to touch into the brake pad itself. Now, when you put this on, make sure that this hose here is not twisted around like that. You want to make sure, it'll go on, but you'll have that hoses all twisted. So make sure that that hose is not twisted, that it's actually on just like that. See how it is? No bends in it. That's what you have to do. All right, so now we're going to put the caliper back onto the mounting bracket. And then we're going to come in, we're just going to take our 7mm Allen key, and we're just going to push this up. And we're going to screw this in by hand, as far as we can by hand. You're not going to go tight, you're just going to snug it in there. And once it's snugged, then we're going to come down and we're going to do the exact same thing on the bottom over here. Screw that in as far as we can as well. All right, then we're going to put our wrench back on that we previously took it out with. Okay. And now we can tighten that in all the way. And we're going to tighten up that last one up on the top right there. All right, so now the bolts there are both tight. Sorry about that. We're going to put those little caps back in that we previously took out. They just push right in, just like that. And last but not least, we're going to reinstall our bracket like this. Now, what I normally do is every place that this bracket is going to touch, these little tabs here are going to touch up against here. It's just my way of doing things. I put a little bit of the silicone on here as well. Now what you normally do is you just hook this part on here, just like that. And you take this, push it over, just like that. And then you pull this, and you see how it snaps right back in. Just make sure that these little tabs locked in there the way it's supposed to be.